we'll do the normal thing as we're streaming this. Let's do an introduction. So we'll start with Oliver. See, you're up last. So first off.
Hi everyone. My name is Oliver Wu. I moving from Asia to Isle of Man, has settled down here, and Isle of Man is my new home. I really like to share my experience that happens to me in the past 10 years, and also would love to share with you how I feel about Isle of Man for the past 2 to 3 years. Thank you.
My name is Simon Noble from Champion Sports. I'm the product director and responsible for articulating the vision for the sportsbook as we move ahead, not just in Asia but beyond. We're part of the King Gaming Group. My claim to fame is I wrote the original functional specifications for the very first sportsbook to accept a bet online back in 2020. It's been quite a while. And it's been quite a journey in terms of online gaming in itself and how it's progressed, how it's with increased regulation throughout the years, and have a great deal of experience, primarily in sports, but also later in sort of poker and casino too, and now applying that knowledge at Champion Sports.
Is within government building this vertical, which is now 23-24% of our GDP. My focus is not exclusively Asia, but it's the core part of our business.
Thanks very much, Bill. I'd like to start by, because we did it with the other one, Bill, how's COVID-19 impacted your business, and especially around Asia?
I think it's like the curate's egg in terms of immediate impact and certainly turnover, a massive impact, but it gives one an opportunity to stand back, reassess, and come out of the experience, frankly, in much better shape, much stronger. So it's not all been bad news.
Simon, your thoughts or comments?
Yep, sure. So in terms of Champion Sports itself, we are part of the King Gaming Group. In King Gaming, we're primarily on the casino side. And so, if anything, with people being restricted to staying at home in land-based venues sort of closed, we actually saw an increase in our casino activity sort of during the initial period. In terms of sports itself, obviously it's devastating for the business with little to no sort of live sport action at all, and obviously live is driving an awful lot of the sportsbook action, within Asia. As much as Belarusia did to help with sort of continuing with their sort of football, professional table tennis, which we did see a boost. We have seen sort of increasingly from our clients sort of pushing ahead with esports and sort of driving the esports content that we have there to help them and support them sort of push into those new markets. So certainly there were things that, certainly esports has been sort of bouncing around there. It's going to be the next big thing for sort of quite some time, and I think COVID has really given that a push to sort of bring that into the mainstream. So we're seeing from our clients that esports now is, sustainably the sort of third largest sport in terms of revenue, and continues to grow.
Oliver, your comments?
COVID, basically, turnover-wise for the company, it's increased a lot. It increased more than like 20 to 30%. Than during this pandemic period of time. But company-wise, it really damaged a lot in the way that we will intend to move 100 employees over to the island, but because of COVID, there's no reaction because all the borders are closed, and employees, they cannot travel. We have a big operation in Taiwan and Manila, and we intend to move some people from Manila to Isle of Man, but end up with move some people to Dubai. And during this process, we actually lost nearly 30% of the headcounts for those people that want to coming over, because they feel the plan has changed. So they got looking for alternatives. So to me, I feel really a pain, in a way. Although our company are making money, but we are losing core employees. So that's a big impact to us for the future growth.
How do you find, Bill, actually, how do you find the regulatory regime's impacts? You know, apart from COVID, you've also got regulatory regime changes, and you know, do you see a lot of good opportunities as well as some challenges?
It's quite interesting. During the actual period of COVID, we're able to actually bring 20 plus risk traders to the island into group to create a trading floor here, and that's in part to the concerns one had over what was going on in Asia, both COVID-wise, general increased instability. So although it was a minefield, we were able to get 20 plus people settled in the Isle of Man, and I refer to it a little bit later, some 25 to 30 local appointments in support of the new live dealer casino, which itself, if you like, was an edging tool as to what was taking place in Asia. So clearly we would have all preferred not to go through the experience, but it has had some good outcomes.
So Simon, you...
Yeah, probably similar to sort of panelists. You know, we've had some challenges in terms of sort of bringing people in, and probably one of the drivers, you know, for the Isle of Man in regulation here with the Asian operators is the instability, especially in places like the Philippines and Cambodia. Presidential election is coming up in 2022, with Duarte finishing his 6-year term, and again that brings uncertainty for the operators there. There's also, again, a very high turnover of staff, certainly amongst sort of Chinese-speaking staff. So, you know, ourselves, we're looking to bring in sort of 70 employees here to the island before the end of the year. And, you know, our future plans over the next sort of 3-4 years, as well as investing in, you know, our own building here, we're certainly hoping to bring in about sort of 300-350 people within the next 2-3 years, because we do have that stability here, which we're not seeing currently in places like Cambodia and the Philippines.
Oliver, have you got any comments? You know, where do you see the opportunities and what are some of the challenges?
Challenge here. Challenge for the...
Challenge for the Asian market for the Isle of Man.
Challenge for the Asian market. You know, like majority of the Asian market that we are talking about covers China and Southeast Asia. While the Southeast Asia revenue generated could be neglected as we are talking about the Asian market. But the situation is, as China put more and more rules and regulations on like money flows, monitoring and supervision on that, the Asian market basically is diving tremendously. I would say like majority of the Asian top eGaming companies revenue down at least 30 to 40% in the past 6 months. And especially like today's seminar, we are talking about eGaming and crypto. And you can see one of the policy that Chinese government is put the string on is any crypto transactions are illegal. So that means like the residents are not allowed to buy Bitcoins. So they are kicking out Binance, they are kicking out Huobi. Even all the OTCs are like illegal. So that one actually closed the door for the payment. So the Asian market now, it's as Bill just mentioned, it's a time to step back and look into that. And all the companies are change the model from like a gray market centric to regulated market. I mean, that's at least that's what Empire tried to do 4 to 5 years ago. Because we all see like a gray market is, profit margin is good, but it cannot sustain. We got to looking for a sustainable business that can grow the company.
Bill, have you got a comment on that?
Yeah, only to say I think to understand, and so as we're not seen in any way to be contradictory, those businesses that are Asia focused but historically have not had any footprint whatsoever within the PRC. Their reasons for responding are quite different to the operators that have penetrated the PRC. So that's not an issue that has influenced our progress and our decisions.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, I got like a reply to what Bill just mentioned, because basically it depends on where the market focus on. Like I know your company and well, there are several other companies are doing like 188. They're doing excellent in Vietnam, which is still not a regulated market yet, but having the Isle of Man license or having a Philippine license or whatever, even for whatever country's license, it's considered as a regulated operator in that market. But as we can see, like even Philippines, they are start to put more like taxation or put more requirements for our operation. It's all the transit always goes from like a gray market grow rapidly to like being regulated. They got to pay high tax. Then later to some religious country they're going to kick us out. Because like that's what is happening in Thailand. So Asian market, in my understanding or my experience for the past few years, it's always been like grow as fast as you could, then run away before the regulation starts.
Simon, have you got a comment? And do you have your running shoes on?
I don't think I can follow that. No, I mean, we've sort of seen it with other jurisdictions around the world. It's they follow the money. You know, certainly when you're sort of tackling grey markets or black markets, as the sort of Americans successfully did. So I don't think, you know, there's a blueprint there. Germany started it by sort of shutting off all the advertising and marketing in those markets. So it's there's certainly a blueprint for other governments to follow.
But Bill, do you still see some, you know, as you said stand back and have a look. Do you still see opportunities, or do you have to think about it in a different way?
Absolutely see opportunities, and in a way, it's the events have forced one to, if you like, do a major SWOT analysis of where you've been, where you are, where you need to go. But again, you mentioned the Philippines. It's about political instability. It's about regulatory excess, even technology instability. And as you said, or someone said, there's an election coming up next year. So that influences where you should have your footprint on the ground, but it doesn't necessarily impact on your market decisions. And there's plenty of growth left in that space.
Oliver, have you got any comments? How are you seeing, or where are you seeing the opportunities in Asia?
In Asia, definitely, it's you know, like in the e-game industry, everybody knows like Chinese got this gambling genes, you know. So then they're willing to bet. If they own $100, they can bet like $200. So they can use the future money for the e-gaming for sure. I mean, good opportunity everywhere. Was just be more cautious. In Asia, the risk always there because one of the failing is the competition. If you see a blue sea, then this blue sea will turn into a red sea in a very short period of time, maybe in 6 months, in 10 months' time. You know, the execution will always be the key for the success. But still another thing is in Asia, like the market is still growing regardless because people will not abandon like e-gaming and then try to convert this e-gaming expertise, like what we try to do because Empire was the only focus on lottery. online lottery. We are the #1 online lottery platform provider. But end up with like we tried all the ways from lottery, online lottery to online casino. Then we even have several land-based casino. But all these expansions results in deep loss for all the shareholders. So then we realized we gotta be focusing on the online lottery only, then in Asia, then turn into other part of the jurisdiction, rather than focus more on expand horizontally. I mean that doesn't work. And also in Asia, that's my advice as well. If you do something, if you're good at this line of business, doing deep, rather than and build the barrier for your competitors, because you never know that there will be some other people will come and overtaking you in no time. So that's how I see that. And huge market, like we have an unexpanded Indonesian market with 200 million population, and then we have quite a lot market like Vietnam is a very open and dynamic market. We have Thailand and all those countries. Even for Philippines itself, like although a lot of Asian e-gaming companies are based in Manila, but we all claim like we have a Philippine license, but that license doesn't allow us to do any e-gaming business with Philippine citizens. It's very similar to Alapman license. Like, nope. Yeah, so that kind of a license, just like Alapman license. We are licensed in Alapman, but we're not allowed to do anything here. So that's what I like, because right now I'm like living here, and as I just mentioned to some of my friends, semi-retirement mood, so I have more time to revisit what has happened for the past decade since I get involved into e-gaming. And I think, as Bill just mentioned, another good thing is like a technology, more like technology-driven, build up your barrier. Like most of the Asian e-gaming companies, they adopting the crypto payment. Then they quickly adopting to this line as one of the biggest BitCasino.io. It's now the biggest crypto casino company. They do the integration of like crypto industry and e-gaming industry, and their biggest market is in Korea.
That's interesting in its own right. Simon, if you had any thinking?
Well, certainly the thing that we've done to sort of, I guess, de-risk the business and sort of hopefully give us some more options is, we recently upgraded our license here from the full license to network license, so that we're able to work with local partners who are perhaps more agile in certain markets than we can be ourselves. And certainly we've seen some traction there anyway, just to, if we feel that we can't do it ourselves, then we collaborate with strong partners who can. And certainly the network license enables us to do so.
Bill, any?
I think the final comment would be, as part of this change, and it's over a relatively short period of time, certainly less than 2 years, what for 12 years has been a group mind and management headquarters has morphed in a really short time to being a fully operational unit, which if the red proverbial bus came along and caused you to cease to trade in your traditional physical location, then you are able to seamlessly continue an effective operation here from the Isle of Man. And that means in part the Isle of Man is a beneficiary from the point of view of more job creation, more spend, and more stickiness for the licensed operator. The Isle of Man becomes increasingly important.
That's a very good observation. I don't know if you'd like to make a sort of closing comment.
Actually, regarding this main topic, like Asian market and development, basically for a guy moving from Asia to this part of the world, and the way I convinced my core employee to moving over to Isle of Man is I always tell them, we're coming over from Asia, from Manila, from Taiwan, from Dubai to Isle of Man. Number one reason is we are going to turn ourselves from a gray market operator to a licensed, regulated market operator. So we don't need to worry about the compliance. We don't need to worry about, in Asia, somebody just going to knock the company's door, say like, that you gotta pay us that X million tax. That happens to, that happens to us before. So that's reason one. And reason two is for my core employees, they are all with families, and Isle of Man is a fantastic place to grow up the kids, families, and have the kids growing here. And though I'm actually living in California before I moved over to Isle of Man, but I'm now become my full-time job is a chauffeur for my son. And so every morning, 7 to 9, send him to school. Every afternoon, not yet, 3 to 5, So I enjoy doing that. And I feel like it's a peaceful place for have the kids grow up here. So that's the number two reason I'm telling all my core employees that has grown with a company to come over to Isle of Man. It's a good place that regardless how much money company is making, but this is a safer place that we can grow together. Because stability is always the issue that core engineers, senior management of the company are looking for. On the other hand, so the third reason I tell them is in Asia, we only do the Asian market. But when we move over to Isle of Man, we do the global business. Instead of we do the Asian market, coming over to Isle of Man, we can expand our operation in LATAM. Say, for example, Empire is now very LATAM and Asia and LATAM centric. So that's what I'm telling them. Because coming over to this part of the world, there's so many other emerging market. There's so many other regulated market that we can grow when we're based here. But if we're based in Manila only, we can only talk about how to make money from China, how to make money from Indonesia or Vietnam. So that's what I looking at the relocating all the employees here. But because of the pandemic, I cannot move them over for the past 2 years. But luckily, the doors start to open, so there's so many people about to moving over, and I really see that as a new journey that we're going to start.
Thank you very much, Oliver. Simon, have you got any summary comments?
It's interesting you didn't mention the weather when you're trying to attract people. No, I mean, certainly I would echo Oliver's sentiments in terms of, seeing the Isle of Man as a base from which we are able to sort of develop our product. So although we have a strong Asian core to what we do, in terms of the product that we're developing and that we're sort of marketing now, we are looking to sort of attract clients from all over the world. We're not simply sort of restricting ourselves to within Asia. And, that's certainly very exciting. In terms of sort of bringing people in, we've had fantastic support from the Digital Isle of Man sort of agency. And, we're going through that process now with them, with the 70 that we're bringing in, which has been tremendous because, bringing the staff in, obviously there are challenges with language and, giving up on their friends and their families and moving far from home. But what we've seen, is that people really have embraced the Isle of Man sort of lifestyles here. We're seeing, our employees, there's one this month has taken the keys to his new home, in terms of sort of investing in the island and sort of building properties. So, we certainly see it as a base from which we can grow.
Excellent.
I think as an individual and as a business philosophy, I've always taken the view that life is about chapters. The key thing is to recognise when a chapter is naturally coming to an end. Turn the page, don't look back, go forward, and I think where we are now is a very positive example of what comes next.
Excellent. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Really good session.